Hi, guys. The goal of this lesson is to help you understand the power of reframing. If you look at something that you have to do and you think of all the bad things about it, you're going to be miserable and then you're not going to get it done because you're going to go in this downward spiral of negativity. There's so many things that we have to do to be successful. And so many of them are unpleasant, or at least at the start, on the face of it, they're very unpleasant. But if you can get past the initial pain of starting, a lot of times you start to see the benefits, but it takes a while. So it's really important to reframe your mindset ahead of time. So, what I've done is created an example for you of a habit and given you an example of negative framing and an example of positive framing. Then on the next page, you're going to write in your habit, one of the habits that you've already established in one of the previous lessons. And then you're going to write an example of how you could frame it negatively, and then also an example of how you could frame it positively. So, my first example I have of a habit that would make positive changes in my life in the long run would be to turn off all distractions at 2 p.m. and begin my homework. If I did that every day, I could make a big difference in what my high school career and potentially secondary education would look like. And remember, that doesn't mean you have to go to a university. It can just mean that maybe you're doing some kind of training program. But it takes some time to learn the material. So you got to put some time in. So if that's going to be my example, I could frame it negatively. I could say, oh my gosh, this is so boring. I hate online school. I just want to be back in school. If I were back in school, I'd be motivated, but there's just like no motivation. I look at the same four walls every day. And so it's just stupid and it's not going to make my life better anyway. So I'm just not going to do it. Okay. So that would be a negative framing. If that were your mindset, you're probably never going to get anything done. You're never going to make a positive change in your life, at least as far as your schoolwork goes. How could you turn it around positively? Still recognizing the reality of the situation, because, guys, for the most part, this is not fun. This is not fun for anyone. Every single person. Okay, there's a few people who like this, quarantine. But for the most part, most people have some problems with it. Maybe they try to find the silver lining, and that's kind of what I do every day. I try to wake up and go, okay, what can I do to make this better? I'm reframing the situation. Um, but for the most part, almost everybody really doesn't like right now. Okay, so how can we reframe it? So this is an example. So doing my homework's not my first choice. I am not a fan of working at home. I really don't like it. I'd really rather be at school and get to see my friends. And if all my friends were doing their work, I'd be more likely to want to do mine too. Okay. But I know I'm going to feel a lot better if I just get it done with. My mom's going to stop pestering me about getting my work done. And then I can just let that whole cloud of something that I know I have to do that's hanging over my head, I can just let it go and I'll feel so much better. And it may feel like each of these little assignments that my teachers assign are meaningless, but if I just accept that in the long run, I know if I do all these little meaningless pieces that eventually they will come together into one meaningful outcome. And so I'm going to try to remember that while it may seem meaningless right now, in the long run, it's going to be very meaningful, and it's really going to help me be more successful in not only school, but life, because life is filled with a lot of little things that we really don't want to do. Okay. So those are your examples. And then now what you're going to do on the next page, you're going to pick one of the new habits that you've been working on with the Atomic Habits lessons, and you're going to write it in the box next to you. Now, maybe you haven't done the lessons in the past, and that's not ideal, but if you're starting right now, hey, you're starting right now, and we work with what we have. So think about at least one thing you can do, like one simple thing that you can do to make a positive change in your life every day. I don't want it to be this big, huge, monumental thing like I'm going to run a marathon. No, you don't start with that. You start with, I'm going to put on my exercise clothes every day at, 3 o'clock and go outside. And maybe I'll start running if I do that. Okay. In a little bit of time, eventually you'll get to the marathon. Okay. But you don't start out with day one on the marathon. We are working with atomic habits. And remember, atoms are very small, but eventually you put enough of them together, they can blow up an entire city. Okay. And that's what your habits can do. They can blow up your life in positive or negative ways because, atomic habits can be negative too. And they can just really, make things go wrong in your life as well. So we're going for positive atomic habits. Okay. So you'll go down and you're going to write your habit here. And then you're going to write an example of negative framing, an example of positive framing. And, there's not a lot of space right here. So obviously you can, as you continue to write, it will make your boxes a little bigger, and that's fine. Okay. So that's what you need to do for this lesson. And make your day fantastic. Bye, guys.